Alright guys, I wanted to make a quick video to showcase the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. Now I'm using a Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus and it's more than capable of running 60 frames per second. I've played most of my time on 30 frames per second, oddly enough, because I did not know how to enable the 60 frames per second. So basically, instead of playing with your graphics settings on HDR, you have to change the graphics to smooth, and you get an extra option that pops up for an extreme frame rate. Now, I've tested this with a benchmark app, and it gives me a solid 60 frames per second when running an extreme frame rate. And if I use HDR graphics with the highest frame rate, I only get 30 frames per second. So we're going to do a few side-by-sides here. But first I'm going to start off with the 4X scope scanning across the map. Now, as you can see, this is 60 frames per second. Don't pay attention to the pixelation. That's just going to be the bit rate of my screen recorder, so it doesn't have anything to do with the actual frame rate within the app. But you can see how smooth things are as I scroll at 60 FPS. And here's 30 frames per second. Still looks pretty good. It's hard to really tell the difference. It's more of a feel than anything. It's hard to explain, but if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. It feels a lot smoother at 60 frames per second. Now here's a side-by-side of the 4X scope. You got 30 on the left and 60 on the right. As you can see, the 30 is a little more jittery than the 60 frames per second. Now I'm going to do this to show you, what it looks like when you're firing. You can see every round coming out. And this is just a little driving test to show you the difference in frame rates. Again, you can see that the 30 frames per second is a little jittery. It's not as noticeable in video, but if you actually play on 60 frames per second, then you'll know. So be sure to give it a try and let me know in the comments what you think. What frame rate do you play on? Because I'm having a hard time getting used to 60 frames per second, but I do really enjoy how responsive it is. Thanks for watching.